Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Tuesday, November 14th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Minnesota game is in 4 days. The game against Michigan in 11 days. The Ryan Day press conference is at noon today. We'll be streaming that live at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. But oh boy, does Ryan Day have his work cut out for him if he wants to keep up with Jim Harbaugh in terms of notable things said at a press conference this week. We're going to we're just going to go face first right into this thing. We're going to go right through some of the most interesting things Jim Harbaugh said at his press conference on Monday up in Ann Arbor. Get a reaction from our good buddy Tony Gerdeman of BuckeyeHuddle.com. If you want to hear Tony and I talk about actual football on the field, well, we did the Michigan Monday episode of the Buckeye Weekly podcast that dropped on Monday night, as the name might suggest, and talked all about the Michigan-Penn State game, what we learned from that, all that. So if you want to hear some actual football talk, that is where you can find it. Instead, we're going to be doing Jim Harbaugh talk here, and as always, when you're doing Jim Harbaugh talk, you never know what you're going to get. Tony, we're going to start with the one that got all the headlines. Quote, watching it, I would have to say it's America's team. America loves the team that beats the odds, beats the adversity, overcomes what the naysayers, critics, so-called experts think. That's my favorite kind of team. Tony, other than the Dallas Cowboys, who don't tend to beat the odds or the adversity or overcome the naysayers, critics, and so-called experts, which team is Jim Harbaugh calling America's team?
I believe, Tom, he is calling his Michigan Wolverines America's team for overcoming the odds and the naysayers and critics like the Big Ten and the NCAA, who are, very critical and saying very, very nay things. The America's team, Tom, how does this jibe with, okay, you want to be America's team, but also Michigan versus everyone. So I don't know that you can have it both ways. Now, if you want to be America versus everyone, well, you'll have some people who are all for that. But Michigan versus everyone or America's team, I think it's got to be one or the other. I don't think it can be both. And also, if you're going to go with America's team, I feel like you have to put it to a vote.
Boy, they brought in Ric Flair last week, which felt like one kind of wrestling move. Now to try and turn into Hacksaw Jim Duggan or Hulkamania and telling everyone to eat their vitamins. I don't know. I don't know if Michigan is ready for a face turn just yet. Tony, this time last year, or just about this time last year, we were up in Ann Arbor for the press conference where Jim Harbaugh was previewing the Ohio State Michigan game, and he called their team happy warriors on a happy mission. So here's the next quote. Quote, the mission last year was a happy mission. This year has been even more than the wins. It's a mission of faith. It's a mission of speaking truth to power. It's a mission of playing for each other as a band of brothers. It's a mission, and I see our guys, and they're there. They're strong. They're walking upright and innocent and just taking care of business. Michigan football walking upright. They have evolved, Tony. That is big. They are a band of brothers. Speaking truth to power. I started pulling quotes, and it was like, man, there's like 8 of these that are just so rich with everything. Your thoughts?
Well, Tom, one word you left out of there, innocent. And I think really that's the biggest word in all of this, upright and innocent. The entire program, I would say, just no wrongdoing anywhere. And this one is congratulations on your team being able to walk. That's fantastic. You go from crawling to walking pretty soon, jogging, sprinting, running, perhaps on third down for 87 yards. We'll see. But this was pretty normal, Jim Harbaugh, I think. I don't know, where are you on this one? Because this one feels like that's just Jim Harbaugh talking. I'm accustomed to this.
Yeah, this was kind of, it's Jim Harbaugh talking, and normal Jim Harbaugh talking is Jim Harbaugh talking, and it's not really normal based on other scales that you would typically measure such things on. But yeah, I mean, this was one of those things where you heard it last year and you kind of cocked your head like, you're on a what? You're on a happy mission? What? That's not a phrase that anyone has ever used in the history of the world before. And now you're talking about a football game and a football season like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's this was not quite as jarring. Although the innocent was, I mean, they didn't claim innocence in their filing with the Big Ten. So that felt like an interesting choice of words. The next one, this is more. I'm not even going to get a reaction from you. I just thought this is just sort of setting up what's going to happen Friday when there's a hearing on the temporary restraining order request from Michigan in terms of whether he will get to coach the potentially the Maryland and Ohio State games. He said, "quote I'm going to talk on Friday. I just look like I'm just looking for that opportunity, due process, not looking for special treatment, let alone for a popularity contest, just looking for the merit of what the case is." So there you go. As far as what's going to happen, here's an interesting one. Quote, I don't know exactly how it's going to go. I'm going to be able to go, though. I don't know if I'm going to be. That's not my dance floor. I'm not an attorney. I always wanted to be. I've watched a lot of shows, watched Judge Judy a lot. He's not kidding there. I always kind of felt like it'd be cool to get up there and thunder away at a jury like Tom Cruise and A Few Good Men, or be a judge, Judge Judy. But alas, I did not go to law school. So this would be the first time I've ever really been in this situation. So as a court reporter for KB one time, first time being kind of in there, now right there instead of just watching. Your thoughts?
My thought is it's unfortunate that, he did want to go to law school, but maybe Michigan wouldn't allow him because he wanted to play football. And maybe that is where, when he was at Stanford, said that Michigan just funnels their football players into certain studies so that they can focus on football. I wonder, maybe that's where all of that stems from. But I think we all wanted to grow up being lawyers, and mostly because of what we saw on TV. Not Judge Judy. I was more of an LA law person, frankly, but has anybody been more successful at this than Judge Judy? Obviously, we remember Judge Wapner. Jim Harbaugh certainly remembers Judge Wapner, but Judge Judy, she makes Oprah money pretty much doing this. And so I can't fault a college football coach for admiring that, because even though they're close to Oprah money, they're not there yet. And they're certainly not at Judge Judy money. But, yeah, I was watching that, and I'm trying to imagine Jim Harbaugh's like as a defense attorney or something, like closing arguments in a big trial. And then he'd start talking about animals or chickens or worms with birds and guns. And half the jury would be like, asking for clarification on stuff. And the other half would be like, is the lawyer the guilty one? So I don't know. It's a dream that a lot of people have. It's just unfortunate that he wasn't able to live that out and had to become a football coach instead, I guess.
And if you think he's kidding about Judge Judy, he's not. There is an episode of Judge Judy that has gotten passed around the internet where, that is not a very big courtroom. And in the first row behind one of the either the plaintiff or the defendant, there is Jim Harbaugh and Jack Harbaugh, his dad, sitting there in the front row, smiling broadly. That and the random appearance, the cameo on Saved by the Bell, I think are the two incredible Jim Harbaugh pop culture moments outside of the realm of football. So yes, he is not kidding when he says he really likes and admires Judge Judy. And who am I to judge, Tony? Next one, quote, as a senior in high school, I had a civics class and talking about government justice. And what I took away from that class was that you're innocent until proven guilty. That was 40 years ago, but I would like that opportunity.
Well, yeah. Was there also a Big Ten rules class that was taken back then? And if so, how did that go? Have the rules changed for the Big Ten? Perhaps, maybe. But yes, everybody wants due process, and based on the Big Ten's own rules, that is what happened. Now, there will be other due process. There are several due processes involved in all of these things. Michigan will have due process when it comes to the NCAA, which takes a lot longer than what the Big Ten took, and the Big Ten's due process is a lot faster. And Tom, one other question here is, just because things are seeming to be moving in haste, does that mean they're moving incorrectly?
That doesn't necessarily mean that. I guess that is what they will decide in the court on Friday when they consider Michigan's temporary restraining order. I'm going to be so interested to see how that shakes out. There's so many. There are like 17 things in the next 2 weeks that are like, I can't believe we're going to find out how this is, how this thing is going to go in the next, in 13 days or whatever it was. Yeah, it is. It is. Man, that's going to be quite a spectacle, and it's happening on Friday. So is it going to be another Jim Harbaugh needs to get on a plane without knowing what the deal is situation? Because that is a real possibility. Finally, we need to talk chickens. You mentioned chicken earlier. We got to talk chickens. Harbaugh, of course, at one point earlier in his career, said he didn't eat chicken because they were, quote, a nervous bird, and then said opinion totally changed on that matter. His opinion on civics class has not changed. His opinion on chickens, 180 degrees, Tony. They got birds. His family got a bunch of chicks for Easter in 2020, right when COVID started. And here's what he said, quote, and the respect that I have for chickens, I know there was a time when I said that a chicken is a nervous bird. I don't eat chicken. I only eat meat. But I was dead wrong. I stand corrected. These chickens are low maintenance and high production. They lay an egg every 26 to 27 hours, and they need water. They need food. And I play with them too. I let them out in the yard. We run around, and they're happy to see me. There's times when I do a good thing for other people, and they're not as happy to see me as my chickens are. So it's good. It's good for my mental health as well, and get fresh eggs every day. Highly productive. Highly productive.
Frankly, I love this. This to me humanizes him, and I like when he's like this, when he is engaging and he shows you that he has a personality, as opposed to the times where he's like, I don't understand your question because you've used words I've never heard before. And the words are like, what did you think about the missed tackle? It's like, that's not even a sentence. Where this, he's like, I get fresh eggs every day, every 26 to 27 hours. I guarantee you, Tom, as he is telling everybody in that room about how I was wrong about chickens, I guarantee you he's told his chickens, hey, I was wrong about you guys. I thought you were nervous birds. That's why I didn't eat you. Now I don't eat you because I see that you are loving and you appreciate me. So now I'm still not going to eat you, but my reasoning has changed. I just want you to know I'm sorry. I came from a place of ignorance. Now I come from a place of knowledge, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you being here and helping me break down the Jim Harbaugh press conference, because that is definitely a two-man lift. The the IKEA box that the Jim Harbaugh press conference comes in has two people doing the team lift. So glad you could be here to help me weigh all this very heavy material. We will be with Ryan Day a little later on today on Tuesday. Press conference streaming at noon. Ryan Day and Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator. You can find that at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. I'm going to guess he's not going to get asked about poultry, but at this point, who knows? Might get asked about Michigan. Might not answer it. We'll see. But we will talk to him. There will be plenty to talk about regardless. Probably get an update on some of the injured Buckeyes, or at least attempt to get an update on some of the injured Buckeyes, and get you all updated on everything, what they learned from the Michigan State game, what they're hoping to learn this weekend against Minnesota. And then, yes, the game against Michigan under 2 weeks away. Pretty exciting. It is the best. We are almost to the very best week of the Ohio State football calendar and the Michigan football calendar. Almost here. We will be there for you, covering all of it at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle, and of course at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.